Hey there, film fans! Welcome back to my channel. If you love movies and series as much as I do, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. Enjoy the video.
The movie starts with a superhero named Deadpool, who is riding a taxi with an Indian driver named Dupendor, and sees Deadpool taking a picture of a beautiful girl, so he asks him, who is this girl? Dupendor tells him that this girl was his girlfriend, but his cousin stole her from him because he is a rich and handsome man. So Deadpool advises him not to make the same mistake, because he also got divorced from his ex-girlfriend, and he regrets that he did that, and asks him not to give up even if he has to kidnap his cousin and torture him until he leaves her. Dupendor thanks him for his advice and promises him that he will think about his words. And then he asks him why he is wearing this strange suit. Deadpool tells him that his face is distorted and he looks scary, and that he is going to be blamed for what he did. And before he gets out of the taxi, he discovers that he forgot all his weapons, and not only one gun. And then Deadpool goes to sit on the bridge alone and waits for the gang that he is coming to fight. And after a few minutes, the gang arrives, and Deadpool jumps on the gang's car and attacks them. And he can finish a large number of them, and he keeps looking for the gang leader named Jax everywhere. But he does not find him. And at the same time, we see an alien hero named Colossus, and Colossus is watching the news. And he sees Deadpool killing people in the streets, and America is talking about what is happening. So quickly Colossus gets up from his place and calls his friend the alien hero Negasonic, and tells him that they must go to Deadpool alone and stop what they are doing before he reveals them. And we go back to Deadpool again, and he is still fighting the gang, until suddenly Jax appears on his motorcycle and shoots Deadpool. But the surprise is that Deadpool does not get hurt, and that's because Deadpool's limbs regenerate again even if they are cut. So we understand that this is his superpower, and we go back in time a little to understand more about the story of Deadpool, and we know that he was working as a professional butcher. And one day we see him going to threaten a man to get away from the girl he is bothering, so the girl goes to hug him and thank him for what he did to her. And after Deadpool finishes his work, he goes to sit alone in his own field and meets a beautiful girl named Venetia, and Deadpool falls in love with her at first sight and does not pass his time, and they get along. And one day we see Deadpool sitting at home with Venetia, and suddenly he feels very painful and loses consciousness. So he quickly moves to the hospital. And there the doctor tells him that he has cancer in the last stage, and there is no hope that he will be afraid. So of course Deadpool is shocked and cannot say a word. So Venetia asks the doctor when he should start the treatment sessions. So the doctor tells her that in cases like this there is no hope in treatment. And Deadpool is more shocked and remains in love with his lover. And he is sad because he does not want to leave her and die. And we go back to the present, and Deadpool can fall on a motorcycle, and he keeps hitting him with all his strength to restore his real face. And we know that Ajax is the one who turned Deadpool into a bad hero, but he was also the cause of his face and body distortion. And that's why Deadpool wants to take revenge on him, and he does not pass a long time and shows all his muscles, and pulls Deadpool and shoots him away. And we go back to the past, and Deadpool goes to sit alone in the nightclub, and he is sad. So a strange man named Recurator comes to meet him, and tells him that he knows that he has cancer in the last stage, and he is surprised that he has a cure. And this is because he is working on an experiment in which people try to be superheroes, and he can make them have a horse against death and diseases. So of course Deadpool is surprised by his words and feels that he is a crazy man. So he refuses his offer and leaves him and walks. And at night, Deadpool returns to his house and keeps thinking about what Recurator said all night, until he decides to go to him to help him. So Deadpool picks up his clothes and pulls out of the house so that his lover does not hear him. And in the present time, Colossus goes to talk to Deadpool, and he shows him that he is a real superhero, and tells him that the goal of superheroes is to help people and society. But what he does is contrary to the characteristics of superheroes. And this is because he kills a lot of people without guilt. But Deadpool refuses his offer and gets humiliated, and turns around to continue his blow in Ajax, but he finds him running away. So of course Deadpool gets angry and keeps cursing and hitting Colossus, but Deadpool's shield breaks from the first blow. And this is because Colossus is made of iron, and no one can hurt him. So Colossus goes to put his hand in Deadpool's hand and take him with him, but Deadpool cuts his hand with a knife and runs away quickly, and jumps on a moving car. And we go back to the past and see Deadpool tied to the bed and preparing for the experiment. And he enters the doctor who will do the experiment, and he is himself Ajax, and he introduces Deadpool to his colleagues Angel and tells them that she is also a superhero. And he tells Deadpool that the goal of this experiment is to turn normal people into people who have superpowers. And this will happen by changing their DNA. And warns them that this experiment will be very painful. to the extent that many people die because of it, and he introduces Deadpool that he also has a superpower and that he does not feel pain at all, and then he starts to blame Deadpool for a strange act. And then he takes Deadpool and continues to torture him in a criminal way, to kill all the human emotions inside him. And one day, Deadpool loses control of his nerves due to the intensity of the experiment, and he keeps cursing at Ajax and making fun of him. And Ajax goes to tell him that they are making super servants here, not superheroes. And then they sell these super servants, and he asks him to behave, and he talks to him about what happened to him. But Deadpool refuses and continues to curse and mock him, and at this moment, Ajax decides to make the most dangerous and last stage of the experiment. So he puts Deadpool in a capsule and closes it, and he starts to draw the oxygen that is around him, and he leaves only a very small percentage of the oxygen so that he does not die. And not a long time passes, and we see Deadpool's skin eating, and his face is also burning and deformed, and after a while, Ajax goes to open the capsule and tells him that he is cured of cancer, but Deadpool is very angry because he is deformed, so Ajax tells him that he is the only person who can restore his natural appearance again. But he will not do that because he will be under it for the rest of his life, and he approaches Angel to break it, but Deadpool hits her in the face and steals her skin, so he decides to punish him and close the capsule and leave him alone. And after a while, Deadpool can light the Capri Sun and throw it in the capsule, and suddenly the whole place explodes. And Ajax hears the sound of the explosion and goes down to see what is in it. And suddenly Deadpool attacks him, and a clash occurs between them, until Ajax brings a medal and immerses it in Deadpool's body and leaves him and walks quickly. And the next day he misses Deadpool and finds that all his injuries have been cured. So he realizes that he has become a superhero and has acquired superpowers, including that his body can heal itself from any injuries it is exposed to, except that the edges of his body are renewed by itself if it is cut. So Deadpool gets up and wears clothes and goes to his girlfriend and keeps watching her from a distance and is afraid that she will see his face, and also notices that people look at him in a very strange way, so he understands that people are more concerned about him because his appearance is distorted. So Deadpool decides not to go face his girlfriend because he is afraid that she will refuse him. And then he goes to meet his friend Weasel and tells him everything and tells him that he wants to reach Ajax as soon as possible, because he is the only person who can return his natural appearance. So his friend suggests that he make a substitute for himself because no one knows his real identity. So Deadpool likes this idea and makes a red substitute and keeps following Ajax's men everywhere. And he kills them all, but unfortunately he can't reach Ajax at all. Until one day, he was able to reach the recruiter and find out where Ajax was. And then he went to meet him, and the battle we saw a while ago took place on the bridge, and we return to the present, and Ajax reaches his cave and tells Angel about everything that happened and tells him that they must finish Deadpool as soon as possible because he is now a threat to them. And at this time we see Deadpool talking to Margot, and this is the blind woman he lives with. And he tells Margot that he is afraid to face his girlfriend after what happened to him, so Margot tells him that if you really love Vanessa, you won't care about his appearance. And the best solution is for him to face her in reality because running away won't help. And on the other side, Ajax and his girlfriend reach the nightclub, and they go to ask Weasel about where Deadpool is. So of course, Weasel is very nervous and tells them that he doesn't know anything about him. And she sees Angel, Deadpool's picture, and Vanessa on the wall, so she understands that she is his girlfriend. And Ajax gives him an idea, so he takes Angel and goes out of the nightclub. And then Weasel calls Deadpool and tells him everything that happened, and asks him to come immediately to solve this problem. And a little later, Deadpool reaches the nightclub and goes to watch Vanessa from afar and gets closer to her to face her. But he changes his mind at the last minute and quickly hides in the bathroom. And at this time, a strange person goes to tell Vanessa that Deadpool is waiting for her outside the nightclub. So she goes out quickly to meet him, but she finds Ajax in front of her, and suddenly Angel appears behind her and beats her and makes her lose consciousness. And on the other side, Deadpool comes out of the bathroom and goes to look for his girlfriend, but he doesn't find her anywhere. And he goes out to look for her outside and finds her wallet lying on the floor, so he understands that Ajax kidnapped her. And of course, Deadpool gets angry and doesn't know what to do. And a little later, Ajax sends him a message and asks him to come to him alone. So Deadpool quickly goes to wear the suit and collects all the guns in the house. And then he goes to meet all the Weasel and Negas and asks for their help, and explains to them the whole situation. So they quickly go and get in the taxi with Dupandor and asks him to take them to the port. And in the middle of the road, he hears the sound of someone screaming in the car. So Deadpool asks about the source of this sound. So Dupandor tells him that he did what he advised and kidnapped the man who took his girlfriend from him. And now he is in the car to torture him. And of course, Deadpool gets angry because he knows that the Weasel will humiliate him. and swears to the weasel that he didn't tell him to do that. And the whole story is that Dupendor misunderstood because he is an Indian and did not understand his language well. And after a while they arrive at Ajax. And after they get off and discover that they forgot the bag of weapons in the car, so quickly Deadpool calls Dupendor to get him the bag. But at this time Dupendor is having an accident and his mobile is shaking, so Deadpool tells his friends that they have to fight without any weapons. And suddenly he finds in front of them a huge number of armed soldiers. And Angel Taff comes down in front of them and is ready to fight, so he goes to her with all his strength to finish her. But he is shocked when he finds her stronger than him in stages, to the extent that she hits you with one blow and you shoot him again. And of course Deadpool stays still and does not understand what is happening, so she forces the Negasonic to use her firepower, and she quickly attacks Angel, but nothing happens to her. So Deadpool goes to take the Negasonic and hides quickly, and raises the surrender flag so that the soldiers stop the fight. And he says to the soldiers that Ajax treats them like slaves, and it is better for them to leave him. And he tells them to join the team, and promises them that he will deal with them in a good way. But it is clear that the soldiers do not like his words and start shooting him again. So Deadpool gathers all his strength and comes with the soldiers with his sword, and he can finish the large number. And then he sees Ajax standing on the roof and he is with Vanessa.
So quickly, Deadpool comes out of him and is shocked when he sees Vanessa in the capsule. And Ajax tells him that he will make her a monster like him. And at this moment, Ajax turns on the capsule and Vanessa starts fighting. And then he goes to attack Deadpool. And there is a violent clash between them, until Deadpool can break the capsule glass and stop it. And Vanessa can breathe again. And of course, Ajax gets very angry and goes to hit him hard, until he falls to the ground and grabs a knife and stabs it in Deadpool's brain. And at the same time, Vanessa comes out of the capsule and gets a sword, and stabs Ajax in the back and falls to the ground. But Ajax gets up again and removes Vanessa and shoots her away from him. And on the other side, we see that the battle is still going on between Angel and Clusis. And when you feel that your friends are in danger, you have to burn the whole place. And because of the intensity of the explosion, the surface is completely destroyed, and Vanessa is on the verge of falling. But Deadpool quickly puts her in the capsule and closes it. And then the ceiling collapses completely. And after a while, you miss Vanessa and find the place destroyed around her. And you go to your nigga to open the capsule for her and get reassured. And you hear the voice of Deadpool, and he calls them. But once Ajax attacks them, and there is a clash between them. And Deadpool can control him and keep hitting him until he loses his strength completely. And then Deadpool gets closer to him and orders him to treat his face. So Ajax keeps laughing hysterically and confesses to him that his situation has no cure at all, and he will remain tormented all his life. And of course, Deadpool gets very angry and takes out his gun and kills Ajax. And then he goes to talk to Vanessa and apologize to her, because he suddenly disappeared from her life. And he tells her that he was afraid of her face because he was a distorted person. And he was afraid that she would give up on him and not accept him. So she goes to Vanessa to remove the mask from him. And when she sees his face, she is shocked at first. But she accepts the matter, and she knows that she will continue to love him no matter what. And they get back together again, and the first part ends. The second part. The film starts with Deadpool, and he is back to work as a retired killer. And during a period of time, a car can kill a large number of gangs in the world. And one day, Deadpool returns home after a long day of work, and he meets his wife Vanessa, and they celebrate their first wedding anniversary. And each of them gives the other a gift. So Deadpool gives her a metal coin made of bullets. So Vanessa gives him the mask she took off. And she tells him that she wants to get rid of him. And of course, Deadpool is very happy with her decision and hugs each other. And at night, they are sitting together and an armed gang enters them. And a violent clash occurs between them and Deadpool. And Deadpool manages to get rid of them all. But suddenly, the gang leader appears and shoots Vanessa and kills her. And of course, Deadpool collapses completely. And he runs after the gang leader and stops in front of a car and kills him. And after a while, we see Deadpool sitting depressed alone in the middle of the night. And his friends try to comfort him, but they can't get him out of his sadness. And then he goes to the old woman's house where he lived with her, and her name is Mago. And he brings a band bag from there and swallows it to kill himself. But he does not die, and he feels that he is immune to death. So he tries to commit suicide in more than one way, but fails. And at the last time, he blows himself up and suffocates. And after a while, he loses his mind and finds himself in a house full of ghosts. And we know that he's the one who brought this place to prevent him from committing suicide, and asks him to join the team. But Deadpool introduces him to be mentally disabled and unable to do anything. So the ghost takes him in his arms to seduce him. And in the end, he can convince Deadpool to join the team. And at the same time, we see an alien hero coming from the future named Cable. And at the moment, his house is completely destroyed. And Cable takes out a time machine and presses on it. And he takes the time we have. And we go back to the other ghosts, and Deadpool knows that they have a dangerous mission today. So he tells him that there is a boy named Russell who has the ability to control fire. And this boy lives in the center of the superheroes. But suddenly, he turned on him and set the place on fire and wanted to go to the head of the center. And their mission now is to go and prevent this boy from what he is doing. And indeed, after a while, they reach there. And they notice that Russell destroyed the place completely, and no one could control him at all. So Deadpool goes to talk to him and tells him that he feels him, because he has the same feeling of anger inside. And he tells him that murder is not the solution, and that he can use his superpowers for other good things. But Russell does not like this, and uses his superpowers and flies away. So Deadpool goes down again and goes to hit the boy on his head and falls to the ground. And then the police go to arrest Russell and put a light around his neck. And this light stops his superpowers and returns him to a normal person. And then he gets closer to the boy and sees signs of torture and burning on his neck. So he immediately understands that the manager is torturing him. So quickly, Deadpool grabs his gun and tries to finish the manager. But the bullets come in another person who has no guilt and kills him. And Deadpool keeps shooting randomly until every bullet goes to stop him and tells him that he is shocked. And because of what Deadpool did, he was arrested and put a light around his neck. And he was transferred to the prison of the superheroes. And after a while, he gets there and gets arrested with Russell in the same prison. And now Deadpool is very weak because the monster came to him again. And this is because of the weight he is wearing. And then Russell sits down to talk to him about his problems and tells him that no one has ever defended him before, and tells him that the first thing he will do when he gets out of prison is to burn the manager of the center, and also take a picture next to his body, to be a lesson for all people like him. And on the other side, we see Cable preparing his weapons, and he is ready to go and break into the prison and kill a certain person there. And we go back to the prison again, and we see Deadpool and Russell eating together. And suddenly, a prisoner named Black comes with his team, and they get angry at them. So Russell goes to stop them and defends Deadpool, but he gets hit in the face and falls to the ground. And they also beat Deadpool, even though he did nothing. And when they go back to the prison again, Deadpool goes to talk to Russell, and asks him not to defend him after that, because they are not friends at all. And at the same time, Cable enters the prison, and he goes to look for Deadpool's cell and Russell to blow it up. And of course, Deadpool does not understand who this man is and why he wants to kill him. But the shock is that Cable came to kill Russell. So Deadpool quickly goes to defend him and gets into a fight with Cable. And once Deadpool sits on the ground and his back breaks. But luckily, the top breaks off his neck at the last minute before he dies. And then Deadpool defends Russell before Cable kills him in seconds. And a violent clash occurs between them. So Cable tells Deadpool that he came from a future dedicated to Russell's intentions, and he must carry out his mission to return to his time. But Deadpool refuses to let him kill him, because he is just a child, and they continue the clash together, until his metal piece from Deadpool. And Cable decides to take it and keep it. And suddenly, Deadpool gets up again and fires the bomb with Cable, and they both fly out of prison. And Deadpool sits in the water and dreams of his wife, and tells him that she is very happy with his interest in Russell, and asks him not to leave him at all. So quickly, Deadpool comes out of the water and goes to meet his friend, to help Russell escape from the car of the deportees. And this is because they will be transferred to another prison after the prison where he is in is destroyed. And at the same time, we see Russell in prison, and he goes to the restricted area. And this area is where the most dangerous prisoner of the superheroes is. And his name is Gagarin. And Russell gives him food and asks him to be his friend, to be blamed for all the people who hurt them. And at the same time, he does a Deadpool interview for the superheroes. And the first person he meets is a person who can control electricity. And the second person can extract dead acids from his body. And the third person has the ability to disappear. And no one can see him, so no one sees him in the interview. And the fourth person told him that he came from a planet different from the planet Earth. And the fifth person is called Domino, and she told him that her superpower is that she is lucky. And the last person is a normal human being, and he does not have any superpower. But he is bored with his boring life, so he decided to do something new instead of boredom. So he forces Deadpool to agree with them all, and this is because he has no other choice. And the next day, Deadpool gathers all the superheroes, and they board a helicopter, and they prepare to get off the parachute on the car of the deportees. And indeed, he jumps from the plane, and the first person to reach the ground is Deadpool. but his parachute is connected to the announcement board. So he remains on the board and watches the superheroes as they land. And unfortunately, the first person gets off, he gets stuck in the car and dies. And the second person gets off, he gets stuck in the helicopter's wings and dies as well. And the whole team dies, and Domino is left because she is lucky. So Deadpool is forced to continue the mission with her. And then he goes to steal a motorcycle and walk behind the car of the deportees, but he can't reach her. So Domino decides that she uses her superpowers and reaches the car of the deportees quickly. And she hits the driver and kills him outside the car. And she drives. And at this moment, Cable appears and jumps in the car of the deportees. And he enters through the back door. And he starts to remove the imprisoned capsules and kills them outside the car to stop Deadpool. And then Domino goes and stops Cable to prevent him from killing Russell. And at this moment, Deadpool reaches them and there is a clash between him and Cable. And at the same time, Russell is able to open his capsule. And he goes out and frees Juggernaut. And Juggernaut, when he goes out, hits the car of the deportees with all his power and splits it in half. And Deadpool falls on Cable. And Domino falls on a big balloon in the shape of a panda. But nothing happens to her because she is lucky. And then Deadpool sees Juggernaut in front of him and tells him that he is one of his most favorite, and that he has been hearing about him for a long time. But it is clear that Juggernaut does not like this. And he goes to remove Deadpool and splits him in half and walks. And then he talks to Deadpool with Russell and asks him to withdraw from the feud and not to hurt the manager. But Russell asks him not to interfere in his decisions. And he thinks when he told him in prison that they are not friends. And he leaves him and walks. And then she goes to Domino and removes Deadpool on her back and walks. And after a few days, we see Deadpool talking to his uncle about the problems he has. And suddenly his friends, Weasel and the panda, come in on him. And they are shocked by the sight of her small legs because she is still growing after she is cut. And after a while, Domino comes in on them and is shocked because it is the first time she sees Deadpool's face without convincing. And then they agree on a plan that they will fight with Cable. But at the same moment, Cable is standing behind them. And quickly they all take out their weapons. But Cable tells them that there is no need for what they are doing, because he is not here to kill them. And he tells them that he is from the future to finish Russell, because he will be blamed for the death of his wife and daughter in the future. And this will happen after the manager's message to the center, because he will then like the feeling of killing, and he will become a dangerous criminal and kill many innocent people without being blamed. And that's why the only solution for his brother is to kill him. But Deadpool objects to the idea and tells him that he can talk to him comfortably and get him back on his mind and change his mind. But Cable is not convinced of his words and tells him that he will give him 30 seconds to convince him to change his mind. And if he fails, he will have to kill him. So Deadpool agrees to the agreement, and he greets him to start a new page together. And then he goes to the house of Colossus and apologizes to him for what happened last time, and tells him that he needs him and his team in the next mission, because he will not be able to fight Garnet without him. But Colossus does not care about his words. So he goes to Deadpool to get in the car, and he is confused and walks. And after a while, Deadpool and his team reach the center. And at the same time, Russell reaches the center as well, and breaks the door and enters. And Garnet is standing outside to protect him. And as soon as Cable sees him, he takes out his gun, and beats him and flies him away. But Garnet gets up again and takes Cable's gun, and beats him hard and shoots him in the car. And then he grabs Deadpool and shoots him in the iron wall. And after a while, Deadpool sees Colossus in front of him, and he is not convinced of his happiness. So Colossus goes to remove the iron from Deadpool's brain, and then he enters the fight with Garnet. But Garnet is much stronger than him, and keeps hitting him until Colossus cannot move from his place. But after a while, Colossus gathers all his strength, and hits him with iron and falls to the ground. And at the same time, the guards come to stop the fight. So Cable and Deadpool go to deal with them, until Domino enters the center and saves all the children inside. And when Domino reaches the center, she keeps looking for a bus to gather all the children. And because she is lucky, she finds a bus in front of her easily, and she manages to save all the children. And after a while, Deadpool can enter the center before Russell kills the manager in seconds. And at that time, Russell fires a bomb in the air and burns the whole center. And on the other side, the battle continues between Colossus and Garnet. And suddenly Sonic arrives, and she and her friend Yoko, and Yoko wraps a rope around Garnet's leg. And then they shoot him in the water and save him. And then Deadpool goes to talk to Russell, and tells him that not all people are bad as he thinks, and asks him not to surrender to the evil force inside him. And he approaches him and hugs him, and apologizes to him that he left him in the prison alone. But Russell fires a fireball at him and burns his clothes. So Deadpool decides to wear the hat that makes him lose his superpowers, and asks Russell to kill him instead of killing people who are not guilty. So Russell prepares to kill him. and at the same moment, he goes to get a rope to finish him with the gun. But Deadpool quickly stands in front of Russell to protect him. And unfortunately, the bullets come to Deadpool and hit the ground. And at this moment, Russell regains consciousness and approaches Deadpool and apologizes to him because he did not trust him from the beginning. But Deadpool tells him that he is not sad about it, and tells him that he is proud of him because he is a good and brave boy. And we also notice that the doll of Cable's daughter has changed, and this means that his family is back to life again. And indeed, their plan has succeeded. And not long after Deadpool dies, and he dreams of his wife and tells her that he is very happy because they will live together again. So his wife tells him that they will meet again, but not today. And he does not understand what Deadpool means. And we go back to the other team, and Cable decides to go back in time and puts a piece of metal in the clothes of Deadpool so that the bullets do not penetrate his body. And then Cable returns to the present time again and finds that his plan has succeeded and Deadpool did not die. So he thanks Deadpool for saving his life. But Deadpool is sad because Cable used up all the energy that was in the time machine and will not be able to return to his family again. So Cable tells him that the most important thing now is that his family is living in peace. And he also decides to join the Deadpool team to fight all the bad guys together. And then he goes to the head of the Deadpool and prepares to leave. But they find the director of the center coming to fight with them and curse them because from the point of view of them being bad guys and they need to be rehabilitated. And before the director finishes his words and finds Spindori, he hits him with a car and dies immediately. And then the whole team leaves together and the film ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And also follow the new Facebook account. I will leave you the link in the first comment.